first and foremost on the PM saying, well, we're going to win the next general election. Well, of course, everyone's. I mean, what else can you say?
Well, exactly. He's not exactly going to go out there and be like, we're losing, we're never going to win this. So this isn't a surprising comment from him. It is quite a bold first step, I would say, because it does seem, considering the local elections we've just had, that they are not particularly a front runner for this or even expected to win. He has also ruled out having any sort of coalition with the DUP. Now, we know the DUP did help support Theresa May's government back in 2017. But realistically, the relationship has changed a lot since then, particularly around Rishi's Brexit deal, which was opposed by the DUP at the end. So relations there are sort of fraught. He does think he's going to win outright with a majority, but, I mean, we will have to wait and see. Anything could happen between now and then.
Says the same thing,
but yeah, it feels unlikely.
I'm sure Ed Davey's probably saying the same thing as well.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm sure he's saying, here we go, after those local election wins.
Yeah.
So very optimistic messaging from Rishi Sunak in Japan at the moment. What do you think he'll be looking to achieve at the G7? He'll want to look statesman-like, won't he?
Well, exactly.
To abroad and at home.
That's going to be one of the main things. As we were just saying, they've taken a bit of a bruising in domestic politics recently. He's going to be looking to really showcase himself on the international stage as a leader and having this influencing power. At the top of the agenda is going to be Russia and the Ukraine war. That is clearly a front-runner. However, all of the G7 countries are united behind Ukraine. So I don't think it's going to be as a contentious topic as perhaps China might be. The battle for Rishi Sunak, as he's come out and said today, will be with India. So India have been invited, although they're not part of the G7, they will be in attendance. And they have remained neutral against Russia, largely because they get a huge amount of their energy and their weapons from Russia. So they've been taking a neutral stance. So that's where his battle's going to lie at the moment. He has announced new sanctions against Russia that we found out this morning. As you mentioned before, diamonds, nickel, copper, we will no longer be importing them from Russia. And it is expected that the other G7 countries will follow suit on similar sanctions.
I mean, all this, it sounds sort of fairly good on paper. Whether it'll have any sort of significant impact, we don't know. And that's part of the problem with this, isn't it? We need him to come back with some pretty serious and defining points.
Yeah, like we were saying, he needs to sort of solidify his position on this, and he needs to showcase that he is doing well. The other main thing that will be up is obviously relations with China, and this is going to be much more contentious, and people will be looking to see what comes out of it, because each of the G7 countries has a sort of different stance against China. You will have US at the one end of the spectrum, the very tough, saying, you know, we need to have tougher policies against Chinese expansionism. And then at the other end, you have countries like Germany and France who have both visited China recently, and both countries have accepted investment from China. So they will not be looking to muddy the waters in any way in those relations there.
How problematic is that, though, with what Liz Truss has been up to in Taiwan? Because obviously diplomatically that's very difficult.
I think what Liz Truss has been doing in Taiwan has been problematic for Rishi. Obviously, there is the growing tensions between China and Taiwan that something is going to happen. Nancy Pelosi was there just at the end of last year, and she caused huge problems for the US in terms of their relations. I think that Rishi and Liz Truss do have a sort of fraught relationship at this point, considering everything that happened last year and how Rishi is now the new Prime Minister, the leadership election. So I think what she's doing is largely unhelpful at this time. But we have seen that the UK and Japan have increase their sort of relationship-building stance with this new Hiroshima accordance, which came into place yesterday. And that will include more military exercises between the UK and Japan to sort of showcase a united front. So that will help in those type of situations.
And Lettice, was it last year or the year before where the G7 received criticism for being nothing more than just a photo shoot? So the world leaders, not just Rishi Sunak, would want to be seen to be doing something important and perhaps coming back with something concrete.
The G7 last year got huge amounts of criticism for the leaders. The photos were rather bizarre that came out of it. They were very chummy, They related it to sort of a stag do. There were no ties. Yeah, exactly. There were no ties there, as if they were trying to make it trendy and cool event. And actually, the sort of feedback, you could say, was that people were like, this is a very serious event. We need you to be there making very serious geopolitical decisions and not look like you're having a sort of, a few drinks with a few pals around a table together. So this year they will be looking to be significantly more serious. It is in Hiroshima, which has the significance of being that nuclear bomb site back in 1945. So there is already a tone of more serious reconciliation and past culture.